Let's talk. When you know better, you do better. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. If you have a couple of minutes, have a couple of messages. So I'm going back and forth with my husband because this morning he said something to me that was not offensive because I know his heart, but it was just unnecessary. And if I didn't know him, if it wasn't the context that it was under, what he said was very offensive. You know, I'm really talking around the subject. I posted on another app that I miss all my little buddies over there because I've created bonds over there like I've created bonds over here, but I really don't have time to be over there because I'm working. If I am on that app, I am posting and I'm getting off because I don't have time to scroll the internet anymore. So I post my post, and when I leave and take the kids to school, come back, Dre's like, I saw your little post and, you know, don't about it. He said some really dumb stuff to me. Key. And I don't respond to it because I'm just like, you know, I get it. For 13 years now, this was our relationship. We would say the most messed up things to each other and laugh about it. And I loved it because I could be authentically myself, which is an asshole. And I'm not offending my spouse. But now Dre is continuing on the asshole path, and I'm no longer an asshole. At least I'm actively trying to speak in love to those I love. And now we're starting to bump up against each other. We're now starting to see the divide. And Dre's saying he's mad at me because I've changed the dynamic of the relationship, and I have. I told him, you're not mad at me for changing the dynamic of our relationship. Do you really want to say these things to me? Like, I repeated back to him what he said to me. I was like, this is messed up. Why would you say that to somebody you love? Even if you're joking. And that's why we got to pay attention to jokes, because we don't know where the person is that we're joking with. And then when we say something and they respond to it, but they don't respond the way that we want them to respond, we tell them to stop being sensitive. No, you stop being an asshole. And if we could take what you said out of context and just move it into a different setting, you would realize, yeah, what you said was messed up. But we want to always keep it into context and be like, I didn't mean that, and then you're being sensitive. Stop defending what you said and pay attention to what you said. Was what you said necessary? And so Dre's saying I'm old school, you know, I'm going to communicate the way that I communicate, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, being old school is an excuse. Because when you know better, you do better. I know better than to speak to you that way. Even though I loved it when I was doing it. Oh, I love going back and forth with my husband. And I get it, it's a little boring now because we ain't on each other's heads. But I've also found loving ways to communicate with my husband. We are closer. Even when I text him this morning, I didn't text him to get on him. I text him to say, I understand where you're coming from. I just need you to understand where I'm coming from. And now that I'm in a space where I know better than to speak to you that way, I'm not going to damn you for being in the space that you're in. But can you understand the space that I'm in? Somebody left a comment on the other app on the playground video that they really like how we're always doing things together. And I love it too. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. If you have a couple of minutes, I have a couple of messages. Just really sharing my experience, and maybe you could derive meaning from some of it. Remember, every interaction is a lesson. If you're watching this video, it's for you. Pull out from it what you can use. Throw the rest to your friend by copy and sharing link. Get one of y'all to copy my link eventually. Anyway, I really love it too because there was a point in time where my stepkids didn't even talk to me. And my daughter, she would come around, my oldest, she would come around every once in a while. But the reason why I hopped on here was because in the playground video, you could see Bailey walking up while everybody's playing. That's important because when the boys were in here that morning, blah, 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 and Andre kept coming in our room. Andre never comes in our room. I was like, clearly this boy wants to hang out with us. This is what I'm thinking. I was like, clearly he wants to spend time with us, but we're not coming out the room, so now he has to come in the room. And he's playing with his little brothers, conversing with his dad. I have my back to him because Dre's laying on top of me, so I can't turn around and, you know. But I hear the conversation, but I'm not a part of the conversation. So then I'm like, Dre, do you want to go to the park? Take the boys to the park, because I figure everybody wants to play. Let's go play at the park. And then I call Bailey, and I'm like, hey, do you want to go with us to the park? And she says, you guys have fun. Angel's at a sleepover. So we all go to the park, and eventually Bailey starts walking up, and that just warms my heart because Bailey historically has not liked hanging out with us. If you watched the video not long time ago, a lot of videos ago, the video where we're at the ghost town place, if you look at it and Michael's throwing his tantrum and I say he's the new Bailey, because Bailey used to be the one who would just always be antisocial when we're doing family things. She would separate herself because she's not really here for it. So for Bailey to choose to come and join us at the playground for the amount of time that she joined us at the playground is a big step in the evolution in our family. So when people are trying to hold on to the old ways, but they're missing what's happening in the new ways, Bailey doesn't deal in hypocrisy. Neither do I. Bailey is me. But in that, I'm also a hypocrite. So Bailey would call me out on my stuff all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. That's just how things go. It wasn't until I had my awakening that I was just like, oh, I finally see what she's saying, and we gotta fix this. And now that we're fixing things, not because Bailey directed it, Bailey just had insight first. But now that we're fixing these things, Bailey is more apt to go out to eat with us. She's more apt to go to the park with us. She's more apt to hang out with us and enjoy us, which is good because right now she's forced to be around us. But when she turns 18, she can choose to be around us. And I want her to choose us. All right, let's talk perspective via paint and sip. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton. If you have a couple minutes, I have a perspective. This is Dre's interpretation of the same lion. We got the same lion. That's Dre's, and that's mine. And this is the twin frame I built for our twin lions. So I'm laying into bed this morning, and I'm looking at those two pictures, and I'm like, two people, and actually it was a room full of people, right? And that day was a crazy story. I'm gonna tell that story next. But anyway, two people in a room full of people are all painting the exact same thing. All same template, right? All same painting tools. Different skill levels, but that's also a factor. And I'm looking at these lions and I'm like, we painted two completely different lions. They're in the same ballpark, but they're not the same. And then I started thinking perspective. And I'm like, Dre saw and executed the lion different than I saw and executed the lion. And then that made me think about life. Why wouldn't then Dre see and execute life differently than I see and execute life? And then we're going to come together and we then have to figure out how together we see and execute life together. It would make absolutely no sense for us to choose to join together in a union but still keep our two separate perspectives. Everything has to fit. And if it doesn't fit, you must quit. Bars! I think that qualifies as a dad joke. But real talk, if it doesn't fit into your relationship dynamic and it's not flowing the way that you want your relationship to flow, I mean, if you want constant speed bumps, then definitely don't do the work. But if you want your relationship to flow, every time you come across his lion doesn't look like my lion, y'all gotta do the work to try to make the lions meld together and become one nice lion that you both agree with. I'm talking lions, but you know what I'm saying. Now this is gonna tie back to my loyalty video. So last year Dre found a really dope couple for us to hang out with. I go to meet Dre at the bar and he's sitting at the bar talking to this woman like, okay, is that your friend? Turns out he just sat down and the way Dre gets down, he gonna just talk to everybody. So she's with her boyfriend and I'm with Dre. And we all four leave the experience like, I think we could hang out. I get the information, we start hanging out. One of the events we did monthly hangouts and one of them were the paint and sip. Man, this couple liked to drink, right? And we're so vivacious, me and Dre, we end up picking up strays. And both couples are looking at each other like, who invited these new people? But I don't know, but we ended up with 2 additional couples. So a group of 4 has now turned into a group of 8. This group of 8 goes to dinner. Now the group of 4, we vibe. We've been hanging out for a couple months now and we understand each other. There's some bonds that have been created. Part 2.